All right, welcome back to Everyday Elevations, the podcast where we transform ordinary moments into extraordinary outcomes. So today I'm very excited. We have a gentleman by the name of Dmitri Leonov, and he's an entrepreneur, a father, an advisor, and an investor. And he got his start working in investment banking after college. Then he spent 8 years at Overture and Yahoo doing some global business development before he ended up catching the startup bug back in 2011. Now, one of the companies what we're going to talk about today is one of the companies he helped co-found, and that's TaoPatch. So with that, I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about your journey. And then, of course, I really want to dive into TaoPatch because it just sounds incredible. And some of the stories and the studies have been amazing that I've been able to watch in terms of videos.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your story. Like, what got you to switch from the? I know you got the startup bug, but what caused you to say, "Hey, I want to start my own business up. Like, I want to do this on my own. I want to be my own boss."
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the main reason is similar to a lot of other people I know. After working in the online advertising world for like almost a decade, I realized that we have some of the smartest people I've ever met who are working on optimizing online traffic and more importantly, maximizing revenue per click. Right? And I have a lot of friends in the gaming industry and a lot of those other industries that it's interesting that so many really smart people spend so much of their focus, so much money is poured into this and time. And it's really not truly making the world a better place, And so that's the main reason I wanted to do something that's more meaningful for me personally and creates more value for society as a whole.
I love it. It's different, but also similar in why I started my podcast. I wanted to actually initially better myself. Then I realized that it was actually resonating with listeners. And I was like, oh, there's the opportunity to make the world a better place just by simply doing research and help providing tips to people. So I thought it was pretty cool. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. Now, you helped co-found TaoPatch. Tell me about that. Tell me about the science behind it.
Sure. Well, so the TaoPatch was actually founded and invented by a brilliant Italian engineer, Dr. Fabio Fontana. And the basic technology behind it is essentially light therapy combining with acupuncture. So light therapy is a really well-researched form of therapy. There are 9,700 something studies on it, published peer-reviewed studies on PubMed about light therapy. And so Fabio had a really bad accident, and he tried many different things to help him heal. And the only thing that helped was light therapy. And the kind of the aha moment was when he realized that light therapy devices are generally pretty bulky, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You need light, and especially the specific kind of light therapy is called low-level laser therapy, where you apply a laser on parts of your body where you have injury or pain, and it works really well. The issue is because these devices are so bulky and stationary, you can really only do it for like an hour at a time at a doctor's office, or maybe if you have it at home, and then you go back to kind of your normal life, right? And so it's very difficult for your body to incorporate to it, to really take advantage of this therapy. And the best way to do it is through wearable technology. And so Fabio developed this nanomaterial, which has a couple of very unique qualities. First of all, it captures the heat from your body and it reflects it back into your body as light. So it converts essentially your infrared energy into a broader spectrum of light and sends it back into your body. So it's very faint light, but I can show you what it looks like, but you wouldn't be able to hear it on audio. It looks like a little plastic coin. And so inside this coin, there's this nanomaterial that basically allows you to use your body's own energy to reflect it back into your body in a form of light therapy that's consistent, most importantly. So you're doing this 24/7. And I also mentioned that we're combining it with acupuncture. And so when you when you place the patches on specific points of your body, which are connected with Chinese medicine and acupuncture, we can achieve just incredible results. And some of the results we've seen, especially for people, especially for people whose nervous system isn't functioning properly, the results are outstanding. The reason for that is one of the first things that happens when this light enters your body is it affects your nervous system, or more specifically, the communication between your central nervous system or your brain and the rest of your body, the muscles, the nerves. And by improving this connection, by kind of reminding your body what the proper communication is like, we see just incredible results with everyone, but especially with people who have neurological disorders like multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's. And with those people whose nervous system communication is not functioning the way it should, it has a really dramatic effect.
Yeah, and I've watched some of those videos, and it's amazing. I forgot her name on there. She had multiple sclerosis, and she was showing her walking, and she was very stiff-legged when she was walking. And then the side-by-side video of her walking just as though nothing had happened. It's amazing watching. And then just the stretching too. That's what caught my eye, because I have the hamstrings of like a 90-year-old. So seeing someone get that flexible, I was like, oh, well, I'm sold. Like, this is crazy. Plus, so actually,
that was the effect for me. I, thank God, don't have serious conditions. But what I noticed after a few months of wearing it is I became a lot more flexible. My flexibility went from 90-year-olds to kind of like almost off the charts, without really doing any stretching or yoga, just by applying this light consistently to your body. So it's crazy. It sounds too good to be true. And if you look at those videos on our website, they also look too good to be true. But there are real customers, and a lot of them are actually taken on the same day. So within minutes, we can have a really profound effect. Yes, it takes, over time, it definitely strengthens, but even initially.
So they say like right away. That's crazy. I remember reading it, but then just didn't click in my head at the moment. But now she mentioned wow.
Yeah.
So I'm not super smart in light therapy. How would you explain it for somebody as if though you were, 10 years old, as simple as possible, and how it works? Because that's the part I'm trying to understand with the technology itself.
Sure. Well, so light therapy is exactly what it sounds like. You're just applying light to your body in some shape. And there's actually a fairly, there are many different kinds of light therapy. The most commonly known one is essentially where you're, it's called photomodulation, but essentially you can, in areas where it gets dark very early in winter, simply by placing light of certain color, it can improve your mood, right? And that there's studies on that. There's different effects between infrared therapy and, for example, ultraviolet therapy. And there's studies that other people have done which show just the benefits of this on inflammation, injury recovery, chronic pain, and so on and so on. And it's we've done 17 of our own studies, some of them placebo controlled, but there are literally thousands of studies that are showing all the various different effects and results that can be seen from this. Again, it's really hard to understand intuitively, but the empirical evidence is there, A, and B, the way to kind of conceptually understand it is we evolved with natural sunlight. And for thousands of years, we lived a very different life, right? We woke up in the morning, we were outside most of the time, we moved around, right? That also also helps. But specifically with light, right now, the way we're living our lives, we're indoors a lot more, so we're not exposed to the natural colors of the sun, which then messes with our circadian rhythms, for one, right? And we stare at blue screens before bed. All of these things, it's very easy to see how light actually affects us, but how pointing light on different parts of your body, not your eyes, it can achieve incredible results as well. And this was a lot of these discoveries kind of happened by accident. Like with us, for example, initially TaoPatch was developed to treat muscle contractures and pain. And one day, one of the doctors that was practicing it put them on a multiple sclerosis patient who was in a wheelchair and could barely walk. And within minutes, the person stood up and was able to walk. So that kind of opened our eyes. That there's a lot more here.
Oh, that's incredible. And I know I have to get smarter at light therapy. I have friends who use it, but I just never asked the question as to why they're using the infrared therapy. So I just wanted to get a little more knowledge on that. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that'll be listening to this that hasn't done the research fully on infrared yet. So again, that's more of just a curiosity thing, because I know it plays a huge factor in it, in the TaoPatch itself. Now, you had mentioned, people are always going to be skeptics and things like that. But have you faced any skepticism, like within the medical community itself and potential users? I would venture to guess by looking at your face, you get probably plenty, because there's always skeptics in everything you do. But how would you address those concerns and criticisms?
Yeah, it's a very common concern, and it's especially difficult because it seems very counterintuitive how it works. And again, if you see this thing, it looks like literally like a little plastic coin. And just turns out that there is a really, really expensive and difficult to make nanomaterial inside that has this unique quality. But it's the most common kind of pushback we're getting comes from this intuitive, like, oh, I don't get it. It's very strange. And no matter how many studies I look, it's still hard for our brain to comprehend how it works. The pushback we're getting from a lot of people as well is that, hey, we have 17 studies and we have way more in process. But for example, we did a 1 year long study with multiple sclerosis patients with, again, incredible results. And some of the pushback we're getting is, well, it was only 28 patients. That's not nearly enough people. And to this, the main comeback we have is, listen, it doesn't matter how many people are in a study. It could be 30, it could be 3,000, it could be 30,000. What matters is it going to work for you? That the only sample that you need is you. Right? If there are no side effects, and with TaoPatch, we're registered as a class one medical device in Europe, which means it's the same safety as a Band-Aid. So anybody can apply it, and there's no harm. And so we offer a money back guarantee because we believe that the only way to see if it's going to work for you is to try it. If it doesn't work, just send it back, and we'll happily refund you. And if it works, great. So that's our main. Yes, we can point to all the different studies. We can explain how it works and all of this. And there's still always going to be somebody who doesn't, who's going to poke holes in everything, especially people from the medical community, because not only is this a new technology, but we're also combining it with a really ancient technology of acupuncture and meridians, which are frankly not recognized by Western medicine. Right. So all of these things kind of, and I know you were talking about holistic medicine on your podcast a lot, and that's a very, all holistic medicine is getting a lot of pushback.
Yeah, I think people don't understand. They want to fight it. They don't. It's something new. They have a closed mind to certain things, and so you can't change the world if you're going to listen to every critic out there. That's kind of why I was really excited when you reached out. I actually looked at your website. I was like, oh man, this sounds really cool. I was like, definitely have to. So I don't know where we're going to go with this podcast, but I definitely have to get them on initially here and just start talking about it and see what happens. Worst case scenario, we get some amazing information on this company here. Now, you had mentioned integration with acupuncture.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other type of wellness therapies that it kind of complements very well, like that they can be integrated into those wellness routines?
Mm-hmm. The best answer is whatever is working for you, keep doing it, and add this on top. We have done studies that show that there are no counter interactions. I mean, literally all it is a very faint light that you're putting on your body. There are no chemicals that are getting released, nothing else. So it works with everything else, complementary. What we've seen is very important for TaoPatch to be successful is hydration and movement. So hydration turns out to be, it's always very important for everyone, but especially with TaoPatch, what's happening is TaoPatch makes your nervous system function a little faster, more effectively. So, for example, we've seen your slow brain waves go down and your alpha and gamma waves increase after some time of wearing it. And so there is there's the overall kind of speeding up of your system. And because your nervous system, it functions on electricity and actually light. And so, by the way, the fact that our neurons communicate with photons in addition to electrons has been shown back in the 70s. So it's a little known fact, but it's very kind of old science at this point. And so hydration becomes really important because of this electricity. And so what we've seen is people who drink at least 2.5 liters of water per day see drastically better results than people who don't. That's one. And then movement is just, again, it's important for everyone, but we've seen that especially if you're stiff or have pain, it's important to kind of work through it a little bit and try to move as much as you can safely and comfortably. But it really does make a difference.
Okay. Nice. I mean, and I've looked at the website and everything too. So I see there's different applications. For instance, there's for the athlete, it helps them potentially recover quicker. I know there's conversations on like, hey, if you can cut 1 second off the time, you've already done your job as far as that's concerned.
Exactly. So athletes are actually our second biggest group. We've been very lucky to work with some elite athletes. We had 5 Olympic athletes in the last Olympic Games. And I'm not sure how many more we have in these upcoming games. But it's a really interesting point. What you said is adding or cutting a second off of your time can make a difference between being a champion and not. So for people whose nervous system is functioning well, but they want to improve it, athletes is the number one category. And we've seen how people literally jump further, run faster, recover faster, very importantly. And it helps with pain, which, especially for aging athletes, becomes a bigger issue.
Yeah, that's me. Now I'm getting older and more out of shape, so the recovery is not quite as nice as it used to be back in the day.
And everything hurts.
You get over 30, all of a sudden you're like, wow, why is my hip and knee hurt for no reason? But
wait till you're 44 like me, and you'll.
I'm getting close. I'm 39, so I'm getting there. That's fair. One thing I found fascinating was that you guys on the website you mentioned some research that talked about dental care for patients with handicapped individuals. Can you talk a little about how it aids in those scenarios and like the potential it holds for improving the healthcare and the delivery system, and maybe even some challenges with that as well?
Sure. Well, so the dental care specifically is a really interesting topic. So our mouth, our bite, right, and our oral health play a crucial role in overall health, right? We know that. but especially your kind of the alignment of your mouth, your jaw, for example, plays a really important role, because if it's a little bit out of whack, that affects your spine, that affects your entire skeleton, because it's so high up, right? It's so close to the brain, so you can kind of, for example, our tongue can sense, I forget, just the tiniest, I forget exactly the measure, but some like microns of texture, right? So if there's a tiny thing in your mouth, it always feels bigger, right? And so this is the same kind of same philosophy with by placing a TaoPatch on specific, for example, on your jawline, can make a huge impact on your posture, for example. And then we've also done studies and have a lot of patients where we're placing little strips of TaoPatch. Instead of a coin, it's a little strip, and on the inside of their crown, for example, or dentures. And even just having that light enter through your teeth can make a huge improvement on all sorts of things. But again, it's a lot of it is kind of your physical alignment, your physical balance, and your posture as well.
Interesting. Okay. That's a ridiculously cool application. Just think about what, and I know I personally have never thought about how any type of mouth issues could cause misalignment in my spine. So it's fascinating to hear you talk about that. Now I have a whole lot of stuff I have to Google after this. Now, you already have so many applications for this product. Are there like any future applications you look into? And of course, if you can't speak on that, I completely understand. Just more of a curiosity, like if there's any like cool new developments or directions the company's planning on taking it.
Sure. Well, one of the major directions that we're moving into is mental health, emotional well-being, kind of anxiety, stress, that whole part of life that all of us deal with. And we had a really cool moment happen last weekend at the Golden Globe Awards. Robert Downey Jr., the actual Iron Man, wins the Best Actor award. And so he takes it in his arm and he's holding it up. And we can see on his wrist, he's wearing TaoPatch. And he's wearing it on the acupoint on your body, which is responsible for this kind of emotional calmness, anti-anxiety, better sleep. And so this is something we see a lot of results with as well. And it was really good for us to see that, not only people who have debilitating disorders can benefit from this tremendously, not only athletes and elite athletes who benefit from this tremendously, but to actually see, quote unquote, normal people start to work with this, and especially work with it on applications like mental health. We've seen different placements, for example, for focus. If you put patches on different specific points in your body, it can improve your concentration. We've seen how it helps with just overall anxiety levels. So that's one. We are releasing new products, and one of them is coming really soon. And that one is it's called photonic cap. So it's a cap with near infrared light, also with a layer of TaoPatch on it. And the results we've seen from kind of prototypes of this are astounding. There are the best way to describe it is it really helps with neuroplasticity. And so it's great for everything from neurological disorders, where neuroplasticity comes in very, very handy, to, again, focus and concentration. We've seen really good results with ADHD, especially kids with ADHD. And so those applications are super exciting for us. And we're always developing new things, but I'd say those are the two that I'm most excited about.
I'm excited for that too. I have severe ADHD. I've learned how to kind of hone it in, but I See, I'm going to be ordering TaoPatches after this call because I want to test that out just to see how that works. Well, even before this call, I was already planning on looking at the website. So excited for that.
So by the way, what we should do is, we didn't really talk about this before, but we can create a discount code for your listeners as well.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we can do that after the show. Maybe you can add it to the show notes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can do that. Not a problem. I'll put it on all social media and everything too. So that's easy peasy. Trying to think if I had any other questions. Ooh, you mentioned just having a cool experience just with the mental health aspect, seeing Robert Downey Jr. with that, with TaoPatch on there. Was there any type of experiences that you witnessed or seen videos of that just really, trying to think how to word it, really kind of touched your soul and like surprised how it evoked emotion from you when you're watching somebody using the patch and seeing how it's actually changing their lives?
Probably the most rewarding experience was, well, okay, there are two. There have been really rewarding experiences watching people with multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's who couldn't walk and they start walking. We had a Parkinson's patient who couldn't talk, and within 6 months he started talking. So that's a really kind of heartwarming examples, and being able to help those people is hugely rewarding. But probably the coolest one was, I'm a big tennis fan, and I was watching Roland Garros in May of last year, and Novak Djokovic, who is the number one tennis player probably of all time, not probably, it's hardly disputed at this point. He takes off his shirt or changes his shirt during the match, and on his chest we see a TaoPatch. And so this was just, and we've been working with him for 2 years at this point. But it was just really, really nice to see. And at the press conference, somebody asked him, "What is this thing you're wearing?" And he says, first of all, he said, "I always wanted to be Iron Man." And so you wear it on your chest. So to me, this is me trying to be Iron Man. And again, it was really ironic that a few months later, Robert Downey Jr. is wearing it, right? But the coolest thing he said was, he said, I quote now, "I have this team which brought me these nanotechnology devices. And without them, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And they're the biggest secret of my career." So hearing, my number one tennis player say that was really powerful.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And just the fact that he followed up a few months later with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, that's pretty cool. Well, I don't really have a lot more questions at this point. You kind of answered majority of what I had. So I always like to leave the floor open. If there's anything that you want to speak on, whether it's TaoPatch or something else that you're super passionate about. Ooh, I lied. Sure. I do have one more thing. Because you had mentioned in our email, spirituality. Now, I know like yoga, meditation falls into spirituality. So I'm curious how this kind of intertwines with spirituality. That caught my attention in the email you sent.
Well, so it's a great question. Thank you. So I consider myself a spiritual person, even though I don't like that term necessarily, but I guess most people would consider me a spiritual person. And I'd say there are different ways to look at, everything, but specifically at health and specifically things like light therapy. On the most kind of non-spiritual level, on the most 3D, mainstream science level, it's again very difficult to understand how it works. We can measure the results, but it's still, there's this. How do I say this? There's still a bit of a disconnect, right? And one of the most common thing, the simplest ways to describe it, when it comes to health, the same as when it comes to spirituality, there are two ways to look at health. There's holistic health, and then there's Western, allopathic medicine. So holistic medicine and non-holistic medicine, in other words. And what unites all of the holistic methods is this holistic approach at your whole system, right? Your body, your emotional state, your mental state. And when you go to, for example, a Chinese medicine practitioner, they ask you 100 questions about all sorts of different things to really find your kind of, to find what's lacking in your entire system, or more specifically, what is out of balance in your entire system. Because the main assumption is in holistic medicine is that your body is very capable of healing itself. It's a self-healing organism, but it needs to be in balance in order for that to happen. If something comes out of balance, it just causes all sorts of disruptions. And by bringing our body or helping our body bring itself into balance, all the other problems go away. And Western medicine or allopathic medicine breaks your body, or breaks your being into your physical state, your mind, and everything else. And then within your body, there are different body parts, there are different systems, and each practitioner or doctor specializes in one area. And so a lot of our Western medicine is aimed at fixing or alleviating symptoms instead of looking at everything holistically and just going to the root, figuring out like what does balance look like, and helping the body kind of figure it out on its own. And so for me, this ties in really closely with spirituality, and more specifically, I'm really passionate about light, and I call it frequency medicine. So light, sound, vibration, electromagnetic waves. The potential for those kinds of therapies is really out of this world. In fact, Einstein once said that future medicine will be medicine of frequency. And so we're very proud to be at the forefront of this revolution. And by the way, one of the other devices, I can show you what it looks like, we're releasing very soon as well, is another kind of wearable. It combines light and sound therapy as well. And why is this important? Why is that more spiritual? So to me, that's called frequency medicine, is exactly the bridge between the mainstream science and spirituality. According to most spiritual disciplines, well, let me rephrase that. According to spiritual disciplines that I subscribe to, everything is energy and everything is moving. According to mainstream science, everything is both an energy and a wave and a particle. And wave is another way of saying energy. And so but by affecting if we are, waves / particles, then affecting us with waves / or waves is a really, is almost like I'm using the word basic, is the most primal way of affecting yourself. If you're at your core a wave, then working with waves in some shape or form is a really good idea. It's a very simple way of going to the root of the problem. And I can talk about this for hours. It gets, we can get a lot more spiritual or woo-woo if you like. But to me, this is what excites me the most. I'm really excited to be working with this area.
No, I mean, I could tell you lit up when as soon as I asked the question. I was like, oh, I had a happy point for him. I mean, you've been excited the whole way through, but I noticed there's a little change in your body language there. So I was like, okay, so he's ready to answer this one.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm going to have to do so much more research after this. And I thought I did a lot of research, and you just made me realize, like, oh, there's so much more to learn, which is a great thing. I love the fact there's so much more to learn.
Very sure.
But I do want to give you a chance to take the floor. If there's anything that maybe I didn't ask or touch upon, or if there's something that you want to discuss, any cool new things that you want to talk about, please do. I always like to give guests the floor.
Sure. I think I would leave by saying, by kind of bringing back our conversation about holistic health and holistic well-being, it's important. It's really important to take this approach, right? We've seen how medical system is not really working, right? How, especially as we age, things start working not as well as they used to, and it's really important to stay in overall holistic health. One of the things we always tell our customers is don't think of TaoPatch as your silver bullet that's going to fix all your problems. You still need to live a healthy life, right? You need to exercise, you need to eat well, you need to sleep well. All sorts of things. Supplementation becomes important. All of these general things that are common sense, but we don't do them enough. And so I'm really passionate about everybody taking control of their health. And the best way to do it is by bringing yourself into balance, by being balanced and holistically healthy.
Yeah, I love it. The whole person concept. That's what the journey I've been on for the past 6 months now. Ever since it started getting close to the baby being born, I was like, I have to change. There's a lot of things I need to make better. And that's why I love podcasting, because it's forced me to research and forced me to be accountable. So, I'm very particular in what actually gets me to do things in life. I know that I have to kind of think outside the box, because I get very easily distracted, and the next shiny object is like, let's go there.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, speaking of shiny objects, we talked about doing a discount code for your listeners. So why don't we do it right now? What's the best discount code? Is it Elevations?
Yeah, Elevations work great.
Perfect. So if, dear listener, if this is interesting for you and you want to take advantage of TaoPatch and trusting our money back guarantee, which is 90-day money back, no questions asked guarantee, simply go to our website, TaoPatch.co, and enter the code Elevations on the checkout page.
All right, you heard it here. Discount code Elevations. I know I'm going to be doing that after this call here, so excited.
TaoPatch.co, not .com, but .co.
Yeah, TaoPatch.co. Yep. I'll post all links, all information once we get this edited too as well, and make sure that's in the details of the episodes. This way there's zero confusion on that.
All right.
But before we sign off here, I always like to end with 2 questions. Depending on the conversation is what the questions are going to be. Now, my first question: if you were to die today, what would you want people to remember you for? That's a little bit morbid, but
that's a great question. So based on my accomplishments today,
I mean, based off of it doesn't have to be what you've accomplished today, but I'm just saying, if you pass away today, what would your legacy be? What would you like your legacy to be?
Well, what I like my legacy to be is something I'm working towards, is one of the people who are leading this revolution of holistic health, and more specifically, I would say frequency medicine. Because I am a big believer in Einstein, first of all. And so if he says that's the future, that's good enough for me.
It's probably a strong person to listen to. I don't know.
Yeah.
Rumor is he is a genius, but that's fair. That's a great answer. I love it. And you're already on your way, as you said. So the legacy's happening.
Working on it.
Yeah, we're all work in progress. We'll get there when we're supposed to get there. That's how I look at life.
Yeah. Nice.
Now, the final question, and I'm really interested in this one here. I was interested in the first one as well, but if there's any quote you live by, maybe even a mantra, what would that be? And I can lead first if you like. It makes it a little easier for you.
No, I have one, but I'd love to hear yours. Mine is hurry slowly.
Ooh. Tell me about that.
I used to kind of always feel like I'm in a rush about stuff. just about everything. And that kind of used to create this underlying layer of anxiety, because one of the things, if you feel like you're never doing enough, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You're really not doing enough. And the important thing is to not have this rush, not to hurry in the traditional sense, but to also not stop, just to keep going. And so this is where the shortest way to describe it is hurry slow. So you're still moving along, but you're doing it patiently and with a level of trust.
Yeah, I feel that in my soul. It's very similar in that sense. Awesome. I love it. So mine is, and it's from one of my mentors, it's be where your feet are. I wasn't always present in the moment. I was always looking towards the future or thinking about what went wrong in the past versus just being happy with where I'm at and knowing that I'm where I'm supposed to be. So it's something that kind of helps keep me grounded.
Love that. Yeah, that's actually something I can benefit from as well.
Yeah, I think everyone adding presence to their life, it's huge. It's something that I've been fortunate enough to have a friend who's been a life coach for me. They kind of really dug in hard and ingrained that in my head, because I could not for the life of me stay in the present moment. I was so over analytical and so focused on where I needed to be or where I misstepped. So it's something that keeps me going.
You have a wonderful opportunity to practice that with your baby.
No. Yeah, I'm actually very excited. That's a huge part. The thing that I love most about having this newborn baby is that I get to be a kid again too. So one thing that adults don't get to, it's not that they don't get to, we actively forget to play. And so I get to be a kid again and experience this through a whole nother lens. And so I'm very, very pumped for that. Like, that's the most exciting thing about fatherhood for me, besides the fact just having like the sweetest little kid. I'm sure every parent says that for the most part about the kids, but like these are the things that I look forward to. Just like, yeah, I get to go play it on the swing set with them. So many different little things. I get to teach them baseball, all this neat stuff. Like, life is good.
I couldn't agree with you more. Swing is my favorite thing. And what's really cool is as they get older, they get a lot more fun. The first couple of years, there's not a whole lot you can do. But as they get older, it gets a lot more interesting. I think it's, at least for us dads, you just get to do cool kid stuff. Moms, a lot of moms don't take that responsibility.
That's fair. Yeah. See, I'm excited for all that. Then I'm nervous for the stuff they pick up from me that I don't want them to pick up from. But it is what it is. I just got to be more aware of who I am as a person and conversations I have. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I absolutely loved our interview today. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed yourself. This has been...
Yeah, it was a great dialogue. Thank you.
Of course. No, thank you. And thank you for taking the time. I'm so grateful for that you reached out and that you want to be on my podcast.
My pleasure.
Anytime someone reaches out, it still blows my mind, because this was not even intended to be much of a thing other than me just holding myself accountable. So thanks again.
Thank you. Yeah, you're doing a great job of holding yourself accountable. Great podcast. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, you have yourself a wonderful rest of your day here.
You as well. Thanks, Jason.